All right. Well, I want to do Sarah Palin, but I'm going to save her because I'm still angry. So let's do some angry stories while I'm in this mood. All right. First of all, the Republicans held a nonsense hearing on gas prices today. Darrell Issa's so-called oversight committee held meetings where they brought in EPA Chief Lisa Jackson and Deputy Secretary David Hayes, and they said they advanced this insane theory that the Obama administration wants to keep gas prices high. I believe they think it's so that we can bring in green energy, right? Are you mental? It is killing Obama's polling. You think the United States of America, the president, who's going up for re-election in a year and a half, wants to keep gas prices high for some green energy conspiracy theory? On which planet? But that's so outlandish and ridiculous. No one in their right mind could possibly believe that. But it doesn't matter. This is what the Oversight Committee is doing. Are they regulating what's going on in the government? Hey, making sure defense contractors don't rip us off, making sure no contractors rip us off? Of course not. In fact, the Republicans are now protesting an executive order by President Obama to say, hey, government contractors, we should find out what they're spending politically. Because we don't want them buying senators and congressmen and then getting contracts from the government from those senators and congressmen, right? The most reasonable thing you've ever heard. Republicans say, no, we don't want that investigated. Gee, I wonder why. Because you don't want to do oversight. You don't want to do reform of the government. What you want to do is you want to let those guys buy you. And that's how it works. So your job is to protect them. And your job is to protect big oil. And that you do it really well, Republicans. And then, of course, during the course of the hearings, the Republicans who always claim that they want civility from President Obama and say he should never attack them. Issa said that Obama administration was making outlandish statements and their actions were deeply troubling, et cetera, et cetera. They don't mind attacking the president all day. They had this insane congressional hearing to attack the president and the Democrats with their lunatic theories. Meanwhile, what is actually happening? Speculators are adding about 75 cents per gallon to our gas prices. You know who's saying that? It's not me. It's Goldman Sachs. A Goldman Sachs report says it adds about $27 per barrel of oil, which leads to about 75 cents per gallon of gas, okay? Extra. That is the amount of money that the speculators are adding on top of the price we should be paying. Even the CEO of ExxonMobil says the prices should be between $60 and $70 per barrel. Instead, they're at $100 per barrel. Why? Because of oil speculators. Now, what are the Republicans doing in response? Well, they have decided to cut the budget of the organization that would make sure that there is no illegal oil speculation. And illegal oil speculation is already disastrous enough. But do the Republicans want anybody checking in on that? Oh, of course not. So what are they doing? Commodity Futures Trading Commission, they are cutting its budget by 15%. So instead of getting $202 million, as they did last year, they will now be getting $172 million if the Republicans have their way. In fact, the president asked for $308 million because they're so worried that the speculation is driving up prices for all of us. Even Exxon and Goldman Sachs say so. But what's the Republican Party going to do? They're going to stop all of those investigations. They're going to cut the budget of the people doing the investigations. Why? Because it is their job to protect big oil, to protect the big banks, and a lot of the big banks are doing the speculation. And again, none of this is theoretical. We showed you earlier in the week, Eric Cantor went to the company that does the most amount of oil speculation in derivatives trading in the world, and he thanked them for explaining what they should cut and what kind of regulations they should fight. So he goes and says, thank you so much for giving us money. Now, how can we serve you? How can we protect you so you can do more oil speculation and Americans pay higher gas prices? These are the sick Republicans that are now in charge of the House. They grind us into the ground. They take advantage of the American people. They take money out of our pockets and they give it to their big donors, whether it's the banks, the oil companies, the speculators, etc., and they don't give a damn about it. If you're an average American and you vote Republican, well, you're a fool. And a fool is easily separated from his money. And that money is getting separated from you and sent to the oil companies and the banks. Here's what CFTC Commissioner Bart Chilton said. We went to the brink of economic disaster. Congress gave us the directives in Dodd-Frank to ensure that doesn't happen again. And now there are those who would keep us from having the budget to do the job. Of course. Who doesn't want the cops on the street? The robbers. That's who doesn't want them. But unfortunately, the United States of America, our system, our political system is so broke that the robbers simply buy our politicians to make sure that there are no cops on the street, whether it's Wall Street or any other street. The robbers have taken over the place. And their names are, their name is basically GOP, Republican Party. Look, to be fair, the Republicans aren't the actual robbers. I should clarify. They are the people who serve the robbers. They are the bitches of the robbers. The robbers come by and go, here, I'm going to throw a nickel and a dime at you. Now go do my bidding so I can steal a couple of $1 billion extra from the American people. And of course, the Republicans go and do it. Man, I try every day, man. And you know the amazing thing is, I try to explain this stuff here on the Young Turks and, you know, on MSNBC as much as I can. And then I got people telling me, oh no, whenever you criticize the president, we know that you're a secret agent for the Republicans. Do I sound like a frickin' secret agent of the Republicans to you? Let me make it clear if it isn't clear enough. Under this circumstances, given where we are in American history today, under no circumstances should you ever vote for a Republican in a national election. Ever. They will deceive you, and they will lie to you, and they will give your money to the banks and the oil companies who are the new welfare queens, and they will rob you blind. Never give them a vote. Well, but no. Yeah, but it's unclear where I stand, right? JR, it's a little unclear, right? You're not sure which side I'm on? Okay? And is it because I don't like Team Republican? I don't give a shit about Team Republican or Team Democrat. I guess that's what drives some people crazy. I'm telling you what the facts are right now. They're a wholly owned subsidiary of corporate America. If they weren't, would I vote for a Republican? Of course I would. Well, I don't give a damn about their name. What difference does their name make? But right now, 99% of them have showed that they don't care about the American people at all. At all. And I prove it to you every single night here. All right, here's another example. We have devastating tornadoes throughout the country. We had one in Alabama. Oh, in fact, we had two in Alabama. We just had a disastrous one in Joplin, Missouri. It was actually the worst tornado in the last 60 years. It killed 122 people. Overall, according to the Wall Street Journal, and that was before today when the estimates got actually, unfortunately, increased, 480 people have died in these storms since 2011 began. These are historic, unbelievable storms. Guess what happened? Today, another tornado in Oklahoma. And they are happening over and over again. Before, in the last decade, do you know how many EF5s there were? EF5 is the most severe tornado. 0. You know how many in this decade so far? And this decade, by the way, is about a year, a little over a year, depending on how you're counting. 3 already. Unprecedented. And I'm not counting the one today from Oklahoma because we don't know what level it was in Oklahoma yet. So we have all these deaths, we have all this destruction. What is the Republican answer? Eric Cantor says, well, we can't assign any relief money, extra relief money over there unless you cut spending elsewhere. No, we're going to hold them hostage. Our demands, if our demands are not met, if you don't cut, for example, some of the things that the Republicans are trying to cut right now, assistance to low-income women and children, food stamps, if you don't cut money from those people, from people who are hurting in other places, if you don't cut money from the middle class, we will not give relief and aid to the people who have suffered these tornadoes. You think they're there to help you? Look at these states. Alabama, as red as it gets. Oklahoma, as red as it gets. Missouri, largely red, sometimes purple. Do you think they care about you? They're not going to come to help you. No, they're going to say, no, if I'm going to help anybody at all, I need to hurt somebody else. And look, if we were really out of money, and they said, look, we don't have a choice, we just totally out of money. Well, I'd love to help those people, but I don't have a single dollar to my name. Okay, I hear you. But that is not the case. Because what are they doing? They're cutting taxes on the rich as we speak. And right now, taxes are at a historically low rate in America. Historically low. So will they raise taxes by $1 on the richest people in the country? On the millionaires? Hell no. In fact, they just cut taxes on them again, and they'll do it again. The Republicans say that is their top priority. Paul Ryan just announced his plan. What does it do? It cuts the top rate from 35% to 25% for those gigantic tax cuts to the millionaires. Sorry, we're out of money when you get hit by a worst tornado in 60 years. Too bad. Over Republicans from your home state? Too bad. Who cares? We don't have the money for you. You're the middle class. Nobody cares about you. No, the Republicans have to hoard all the money to their rich donors. So you get nothing. You get held hostage, even in the wake of these terrible storms. And they get more extreme every single day, these Republicans. Do you know that Tom DeLay, who was maniacally right-wing, even he wouldn't say, hey, you know what, in times of emergency relief like this, we should hold back the money until we get spending cuts. He said, no, we should do it without the spending cuts because it's a situation that needs to be relieved right now, not later, okay? These guys are massively to the right of Tom DeLay. They get more radical, more extreme every single day. You are nuts if you vote for a Republican. And then your house gets blown away and you're looking for help and the Republicans spit in your eye. They go, sorry, I had to give another tax cut to a millionaire. Puh, this is what you get. You keep voting Republican, see how it turns out for you. By the way, on the storms, what the hell is going on? You know, last night on the post-game show, I was talking about global weirding, and I'm not sure I believe it, meaning that global warming is leading to more volatility in weather patterns. I cited some statistics for you. If you're a member, please check it out. It was an interesting conversation, but I wasn't totally sold. Today, I got a lot closer to being sold. I mean, you want to talk about volatility in weather patterns? This is volatility in weather patterns. So, you know, look, I don't know enough to declare one way or another, okay? But am I concerned? Yes. Okay? Am I willing to entertain the idea that this might have something to do with what 99% of the scientists in the world have been warning us about for decades? And one of the things they warned us about, it's not something they made up recently, was volatility in weather patterns. All right. I don't know, but wish us luck. And wait for batten down the hatches for the next tornado. Okay, so now we go from one disaster to another. West Virginia government issued a report on Massey Energy. Remember, they're the ones that caused that collapse where 29 miners died in West Virginia. And so they wanted to see if there had been any improvements since then, and the answer apparently is a resounding no. The safety violations were egregious, and they have not been fixed. I'll tell you why in a second. First, the report says that there was a, quote, total and catastrophic systemic failure by Massey Energy. Now, this was not a coincidence. This was not just a sheer accident. They refused to take safety precautions. Why? Because they wanted to make more money. Safety precautions cost a little more. That way, their top executives would only get to make $9 million rather than $10 million, right? Well, let's listen to more of the report. It says, more than a year after 29 men died in the Upper Big Branch mine, there is strong evidence that Massey has not changed the manner in which it operates its mines. So did they change anything? Not a damn thing. They're still trying to make money. Don Blankenship, who was the head of Massey Energy, who is now retiring, got $2 million upon retirement. Hey, congratulations. 29 workers died in that accident alone. You guys have the worst safety record of anyone else by a long shot. Congratulations. Here's a $2 million retirement bonus. You think that's bad? July of this year, you know what he's getting? He's out of the company. You know what he's getting? $10 million. Now, gee, I wonder why they did it. I wonder why he didn't want to do the safety precautions and didn't give a damn about those 29 people who died. Because he's making a lot of money out of it. And so how is he avoiding all regulation? Well, as the report explains, by spreading some of that money around to local politicians, and as the report says, quote, was vast amounts of money to influence elections. And it was to buy some of the politicians, and it was to intimidate the others, and to intimidate regulators. Hey, you do the wrong thing here, you do safety checks on us, your boss is going to fire you one day because I pay your boss's bills. Your boss is the congressman, the local congressman I bought. And that's how it works. And look, it's a good report, tells you exactly how it's going. By the way, add insult to injury, Alpha Natural Resources bought Massey Energy. You know who they are promoting? The guy to the head of safety, one of the guys who was the head of safety under Massey Energy. Okay, all that is bad enough. But to give you a sense of how egregious Massey Energy is, overall, when they looked at the people who had died, what degree of black lung they had, and now this is not just something that can kill you immediately like a cave-in, but it is something that kills you obviously a little further down the road, but not much further down the road if you have black lung. Well, the industry average among miners in the United States of America is 3.2%. That's how many of the miners wind up getting black lung. Now that is terrible. It's an occupational hazard. We try to mitigate that and plan so that we can minimize it, right? You know how many of the Massey Energy workers had black lung? 71%. National average is 3.2%. They had 71%. It's because they don't give a damn about their workers. They don't take any of those precautions. And what do Republicans across the country tell you now? Oh, no, we got to take away workers' rights. Workers have too much rights. We got to take away their pensions. We got to take away their salaries. We got to take away their protections. We got to take away their negotiating rights so that they cannot negotiate with people like Massey Energy or the state governments. And Massey Energy loves it, and they take some of their millions and give it to those crooked politicians who then let these workers literally die in the mines or later die in the hospitals from black lung. It is grotesque. Our corporate enterprises in the United States have taken over. They've become a beast. They are amoral machines. They do not care. They have no compunction. They have no soul. They have no humanity. Although they get all the rights of human beings, including, most importantly, freedom of speech, which then they say is the freedom to spend dollars to buy politicians. But do they act like human beings? Hell no. They don't give a damn about other human beings. And if a CEO has that kind of compunction, he gets fired and replaced by a meaner CEO, by a more ruthless CEO, who's willing to do whatever it takes, including giving his workers black lung and sometimes having the mine cave in on them. Who cares? He made more money. Don Blankenship, by the way, is one of the worst human beings in the country. The sight of him revolts me now. I know it's the machine, right? If it wasn't Blankenship, Massey Energy would have had another CEO who did something just as bad or worse. I get that. And I don't often blame the actual executives. The problem is the system. But Massey is the guy who dresses up in shirts that are made of American flags, puts huge American flags behind him, spends millions to bring in people like Sean Hannity to do concerts and speeches, and gets all these fake patriotism and does picnics, meanwhile full well knowing that he is endangering the lives of all of his workers. And he spends money on that kind of propaganda. He spends money buying politicians so that he can kill more workers. Or, I'm sorry, more workers can die accidentally because of the precautions that Don Blankenship didn't take and doesn't give a damn about taking, because today he had to make $10 million extra dollars. Sometimes I get discouraged. Young Turks. All right, back on the Young Turks. You know, it is ironic that I would go around accusing Republicans of lying when I have apparently been lying to the audience for the last couple of seconds. Well, I looked through the rest of the rundown. There are no fun stories. Okay. You know.
There are fun stories.
Okay. No. There are important stories. There are stories that I really love because they're important and relevant, etc. And there is one fun story, okay? That's the Dairy Queen story, okay? There are no sex polls. There's no nothing.
You guys had a plethora of sex stories yesterday.
You
didn't get enough?
We had a plethora. So we move forward with important TYT stories.
Okay, look, I love this story. I was supposed to do it for TYTU, but I saved it for this hour because I actually really want to hear Cenk's thoughts on it, okay?
God bless.
So let's go. Les Leopold wrote a great article for Alternet where he argues that the financial sector should pay all of the costs for our public colleges. Okay, so students who wish to attend public colleges and universities should be able to go tuition-free, okay, and the financial sector would pick up the tab. Now, how does he propose that they do this? He thinks that it makes sense to charge a financial transaction tax. Okay, so every time there's a transaction in the financial sector, every time there's a trade, derivatives, they pay like a small fee for it, right?
It's a tiny, tiny percentage. Look, when I first saw the headline, I thought, there goes these libs again. And we've interviewed Les, and he's a good guy and stuff. But I thought, come on, really? All of the public colleges and universities totally free, and you're just going to pay for it by getting it from the bankers, right? But when you do the numbers on it, as Les did, it actually sounds totally realistic. Now, first of all, here's what you have to understand. This is not some crazy thing that's never done anywhere in the world. In Europe, actually, a lot of the colleges and universities are free.
This is happening right now in England. That's why a lot of the colleges and universities are capped at $5,000 a year in tuition. That's the most that they pay, which blows my mind. $5,000 a year is what we pay in the U.S. for textbooks.
Yeah, no, it's unreal. And right now, there's more college debt than there is credit card debt in the United States, which is an amazing number, right? Now, and so outside of England and the rest of Europe, there's even more free universities and colleges. Look, the reason why that's so enormously important to a democracy is because that at least gives you equality of opportunity, not result, but opportunity. And that's exactly what we need in a democracy. Now, as to how much it would cost, I didn't know this. He says right now it would only cost $50 billion. But he says if you make it free, well, then more people will come, right? But then you'll create more jobs at universities. They will expand, and that will probably help our economy tremendously in the long run. But then it would actually probably double the cost to about $100 billion.
Right.
When I saw that number, I instantly knew it was doable because he's right. The financial transaction tax would easily raise $100 billion. And so think about that for a second. We don't have that tax. England, for example, does have that tax. Part of the reason we don't have that tax is because our bought politicians here in the United States say if we did that, the bankers would flee. Now, have they fled, I should say, England? No. They're still in England. They have that tax, and they pay it, right? So they didn't go to Somalia. They didn't go anywhere else they didn't even come here, right? So could we do that tax? Absolutely. And now think about that. Look at that redistribution of wealth, where right now the top bankers, a tiny, tiny percentage of people, get to keep that $100 billion, and the rest of us do not get that equality of opportunity. Now, I got to where I am today because my dad received a free education, and that was back in Turkey. We'd be on a farm in southeastern Turkey right now picking olives, okay, if my dad didn't get a free education. That's what's great about democracy. That's what's great about equality of opportunity. But the bankers in this country don't want you to have that opportunity. They want to keep that extra $100 billion spread out among how many people? 10 people, 200 people, maximum of a couple thousand people. They got to have more yachts, more mansions, because it's never enough. And by the way, the other thing that the financial transaction tax would do is that it would limit risky trading, because it would be a disincentive to risky trading, which would also be terrific for our economy. And none of that is going to happen because what the rest of the world doesn't understand is how incredibly corrupt the United States political system is. Because those same bankers bought our politicians.
As I was reading this article, I was fantasizing. This article got me excited, right? And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, this is so doable. It's so easy. Why can't we do this? Dean Baker also wrote about it, you know? Top economists say that this is not a difficult thing to do. In fact, we achieved this in 1944 with the GI Bill.
That's a great point.
Yeah, with the GI Bill. So people who came back from World War II, they were worried that these soldiers would end up jobless, they would end up homeless. So what they ended up doing is they paid for their education so they can go to school for free, they can get educated, and then go out and find great jobs. And why is it that we can't do this now? Why is it that England can do it, but we can't do it now? It doesn't make any sense.
All right, now I got to give you the numbers behind that because that's amazing, okay? The GI Bill doubled the number of college degrees between 1940 and 1950 because it was free education. They would get about $500, and at the time, even Harvard only cost $400 in tuition, right? So it was free education basically for everybody that came back as GIs, right? And it produced 7.8 million college graduates. Now, what was the economic impact of that? That is really important. Well, it cost in 2010 $70 billion, okay? Well, it turns out that a joint economic committee that analyzed this in 1988 said that it resulted in an extra $120 billion in federal tax revenues. So just that alone already paid for itself. But on top of that, it also produced $350 billion in extra national output.
So for every dollar that was invested in the GI program, the economy got back $6.90.
So when we invested in the education of our youth, we got $7 for every dollar of that investment. It is a great and brilliant investment, and part of what made this country great. That's why we became number one. Certainly part of the reason why we became number one. What have we done? We have forgotten all of those lessons, and instead what we do is we say, no, let's give as much as possible to the very richest and hope that at some point it might trickle down.
Oh, it's so stupid and pathetic.
And by the way, right now, the United States has a historically record low effective tax rate. Taxes have never been lower. Now, in the beginning, when they first started the income tax for a couple of years, the actual rate was a little lower, okay, for only a couple of years right when they started. And then there was 28% under Reagan for a while. But as far as effective tax rate, it is the lowest we've ever had. So when they say taxes are too high, it is an incontrovertible lie. What they want to do is they want to keep the money at the top and not give you an opportunity.
By the way, Les Leopold, final point that I want to make on this is the fact that he stated in his article something that makes so much sense. The fact that we bailed out these banks, okay, with our tax dollars. They were in trouble. They're the ones who got us into this economic mess, but we bailed them out with our money. And when it comes to our education, like you said, they're not willing to, pay a tiny fee for each transaction so our students can have a chance at becoming as successful as they are, as wealthy as they are. They're not willing to pay their fair share, considering the fact that we bailed them out.
Final note for you guys. Do you know the guy who stopped the financial transaction tax in the United States and was trying desperately to stop it worldwide? Tim Geithner.
Oh, God.
And now you wonder why I am at times disappointed in the Obama administration. And every time I think of that quote that Barack Obama has a man crush on Tim Geithner, I vomit a little in my mouth. Okay. But hey, Democrat lovers, trust the Democrats. It'll be great. Okay. Oh, by the way, are we going to do anything like that? If somebody suggested that at the White House, at the Democratic White House, they'd have security removed. They'd be like, some liberal lunatic has infiltrated the White House.
It'll never happen, which is disappointing because, like I said, I'm fantasizing about it as I'm reading it, and then, of course, there's that utter disappointment at the end where I know that it's not going to happen. The politicians are way too bought. There's no way.
Now, do you understand why I get frustrated at Democrats? Okay, because look, will the Republicans block? Of course they will, right? But everybody knows that. The problem is we don't have any hope because we know the Democrats won't fight for it. Like, in order for it to have a hope, even if it seems like an unwinnable war or an unwinnable fight or whatever it might be, conflict, right? At least if you got somebody fighting, you think, okay, maybe we got a shot.
Right.
But the Democrats say, oh, hell no, we would never fight for that.
It drives me crazy. I mean, we have Republicans passing legislation that bans private insurance companies from allowing them to pay for abortions, right? But something as crazy as that, as radical as that, but we can't get Democrats to pass something as simple as this, to fight for something as simple as this.
Dick Durbin, who then has done terrible things afterwards, summed it up best, though, several years ago when they were first trying to put limitations on the banks. He said, frankly, they own this place, referring to Congress. And that sums up the American political system. All right, we move forward.
CNN did a report on people in Asia that are going through drastic plastic surgery to have a more Western look. Okay, and look, we did a story somewhat similar to this regarding Jamaica, where women are bleaching their skin to look lighter, to look Western, right? And it's so terrible that they do this. And when you watch this video, you'll see how bad it's gotten.
And look, before the video, let me just clarify something. You know, people said, hey, look, some people in India, we've done that story, Jamaica, are trying to whiten their skin. But on the other hand, look at Jersey Shore, a lot of people, and look at John Boehner, a lot of people here are trying to darken their skin or make it orange for some reason. Snooki and John Boehner being the best examples, quickly followed by Donald Trump. Okay, but this, what you're about to see, is inarguable, okay? Nobody's doing the reverse of this. Let's watch.
Lee Min-kyung is a picture of childhood grace and poise, but she says, not beauty. What she sees are her small Asian eyes, but that will change tomorrow when this 12-year-old, with the permission of her mother, gets plastic surgery for more westernized eyes. If I get the surgery, my eyes will look bigger, she says. Do you think you'll look better after the eye surgery? I'm excited. I think I'll look better than I do now. She's not alone. Dr. Kim Byung-gun personally performs more than 24 of these surgeries a day as head of Seoul's biggest plastic surgery clinic, BK Dongyang. Looks like every single one is full.
Yeah, and patients coming in and out, in and out, in and out.
Patients of all ages, from middle age to the adolescent like Mingyoung. How many surgeries are performed per day in this clinic?
Usually 100.
100 a day.
Yeah.
It's not just eyelid surgery, but nose reshaping to elevate the nose and facial contouring to slenderize a typically rounder Asian face. When patients come in and talk about why they want these types of surgeries, what do they tell you?
The Chinese and Korean patients tell me that they want to have some face like Americans.
There are hundreds of plastic surgery clinics just in this one district of Seoul. It is an accepted part of Korean culture. Because of that, the history and the technique of the surgeons, it's why this place has become the plastic surgery capital of Asia.
All right, that is so disturbing. Now, I know it happens, and it's because of marketing. And they have those billboards and those magazines and the TV shows and the movies plastered all over the place. And the object of beauty they show is a Western woman. Mm-hmm. So they try to look like Western women. But they've got to, without getting overly nationalistic, they've got to fight back on that. Whether it's Korean society, Chinese society, etc., you got to be proud of who you are. And so it's really disheartening to see this. And look, my son is half Chinese, right? Mm-hmm. If my son ever said, "Oh, I'd like to look more Western or something," oof, you don't know how angry I'd be. Okay, it is. I will do my damnedest not only to have him be proud to be an American, because that is the idea we believe in. Okay, it's not just a country; it's an idea. I will do my damnedest to make him proud that he's a Turk, but also my damnedest to make sure that he's proud to be Chinese. And so when I see stuff like this, it really obviously bothers me.
And you made an important point, because you're a parent, and as a parent, you're supposed to be the leader, right? You're supposed to tell your child what's right and what's wrong, and you're supposed to teach your child to love him or herself, regardless of what he or she looks like, right? And, in this story, the mother is reinforcing these ideals, you have to look like a Western woman. Don't reinforce it, If anything, you should be telling your daughter that she's beautiful the way she is. She's only 12 years old. The last thing she needs is the mother to...
And there's nothing wrong with her. There's nothing wrong with her. And then not only do you say you should be more Western, you shouldn't like yourself as you are right now,
Mm-hmm.
but on top of that, you put it into her head that there's something she has to fix.
Right.
And that's going to stay with her forever. I have to be better looking. Apparently, I'm ugly, right? Otherwise I won't get a job. My mom says I won't get a job. I won't, How about, you teach your kid confidence, and not only to be confident that they are beautiful and they are good enough, etc., but also to say, hey, look, if you run into obstacles, we don't, run off and try to change our face or change our identity. We conquer those obstacles. I mean, maybe it's the Turk in me, but I would say, oh, they're not going to hire you? Good. You start your own company and you crush them.
Right.
Okay? That's the kind of Turkish upbringing apparently I'm also going to give my son, okay? To be like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Okay, then we'll concede. I mean, you want to talk about Democrats. These are even worse. I'll concede. I'll try to look more Western. No, it's not even close to right.
When I was in middle school, I had a friend who was Korean, and I thought it was crazy. She told me about friends and family that had a very similar surgery, and it was because they wanted to have Western eyelids, okay? Mm-hmm. They wanted eyelids to fold the same way that Western people have their eyelids.
That's the number one thing.
Which drives me nuts because it's so stupid. Like, who looks at someone's face and thinks, wow, those are some nice eyelids?
Well, we don't think about it here, but in Asia, it's huge.
No, it is
I have
huge.
a lot of Asian friends, obviously, right? And yeah, the Western eyelid thing, they're like, oh, Westerners, you guys got such great eyelids.
No, it amazes me. And you know what she would do, because she was too young and her family wouldn't let her do the plastic surgery? she would take transparent tape and she would put strips of tape on her eyelids and then put makeup over it so it looked like she had a lid. It was absurd.
Look, I'm gonna tell Prometheus, man. There's nothing in the world that can stop you. Okay. Somebody tells you you're not good enough in any way, shape, or form. Here are the two words that we're gonna plan for. What now? Okay. After you beat him and you crush him, you look over him like Anna Kasparian would and go, "What now?"
And then you have to follow it with "Tell me how my ass tastes."
Okay. Anyway, I don't know why he took it in that direction. But one more thing, right? Do we have the before and after picture?
We do.
All right, so let's take a look at the before and after now, what they did to this poor girl. So that's the before.
No, I think is that the before? Okay, that's the before.
And now the after.
Where she looks exactly the same.
Yeah, I can't even tell. Okay, I guess there's a difference. Yeah, okay, I can see it now.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, come on. Look, I saw the part of the video where they are getting her ready for surgery, and again, I threw up a little bit in my mouth. Like, they're taking this 12-year-old and they're getting ready to cut her open, okay, to make that slight difference that I can barely tell because they say she's not good enough and she needs to look more Western. What am I going to do with the world? We try the best we can, man. But don't do it. Don't do it. Teach your kids that they're, I mean, now I sound like Al Franken from an old SNL skit, but they're good enough. They're smart enough. Gosh darn it, people like them. All right, what's next?
Kathy Witterick and David Stalker just had a little child 4 months ago, little baby, okay? The reason why I'm saying little baby is because we don't know what the gender of that baby is. They wish to keep it a secret. And the reason why they're keeping it a secret is because they want the child to decide what his or her own gender identity is.
Oh, shit, please. Please, sometimes liberals drive me crazy. That's beyond lib. That's super lib. That's like mentally challenged lib. Come on. I know. Come on. Come on. Look, it either is or is not something, right? And it's not a question mark. By the way, the baby's not in any way, shape, or form like,
It's a 4-month-old.
No, it's
a normal baby. It's not like it's a hermaphrodite. It's
nothing,
a normal baby.
Right?
Yes.
And they're like, we're going to let him make the decision. No. He either has a penis and it has already made its decision, or, it's gone in the other direction and she's made her decision. Nature has already decided that. It's one thing to say, hey, I'm worried about gender roles.
Yes, I agree with you. I already
That's
agree.
perfectly legitimate.
Yeah.
It's another thing to say, I'm not going to give it a gender.
I know.
Too late. It already has one.
Here's the thing. Okay, the family is into unschooling, which is one thing we talked about, where they allow their children to make a decision as to whether or not they even want to be educated. They let their children decide everything. They nurture their children's curiosity, okay? Now, look, here's what I have to say about this. I like the idea of not reinforcing gender stereotypes and gender roles. Okay, if you have a little boy, you don't have to force the little boy to play with action figures or whatever. You take the boy to the toy store and say, hey, what do you want to play with? If he wants to play with dolls, let him play with dolls. I can understand that. But you don't tell the little boy, like, I don't know, you might be a boy, you might be a girl, you decide.
Well, how's he going to decide? He doesn't even know, or she doesn't know. Okay, look, yes, you don't have to force guns and cars into the boy's hand. That's ridiculous, right? We're all realistic libs. We get it, right? But at the same time, their kids, one of them is 5 years old. Both the kids apparently dress in pink and have long hair, right? Now, the older kids, they're 2 and 5, and they're boys. We already know they're boys, okay? Thank God they let the rest of they didn't even tell the grandmother.
Yeah.
They didn't tell the grandparents about the baby, about whether it's male or female.
How upset would you be?
Oh, no, I wouldn't have that. I'd be like, oh, no, that's cool. Yeah, I'm going to go change the diapers. They'd be like, no. I'm going to change the diapers. I'm the grandpa, so you stay back, okay? And I'm going to settle this thing, okay? Anyway, now the two older boys, 2 and 5, they dress in pink. They got long hair. The 5-year-old goes to school. It turns out he gets razzed. Who could have seen that coming, right? And they ask him, hey, are you worried about that? Or does that bother you? He's like, yeah, it totally bothers me. Of course it bothers him. You let your son go to school. Look, if that's his, if it doesn't bother him and that's his decision and he's going that direction, okay, that's one thing. It's another thing to be like, yeah, wear pink, yeah, long hair, yeah. Oh, you got made fun of at school. Who could have seen that coming? So now they are unschooled.
They are unschooled, yes.
Like, do I want to nurture curiosity in my kids? I think that's the number one most important trait. Absolutely. Do I want to sit in a circle with the kids and be like, what would you like to learn today? No, here's what you're going to learn. Math. Here's what you're going to learn. The alphabet, okay? Because I'm not going to have you be Jungle Boy, and be like, I decided that I wanted to learn how to throw poo against the wall. Okay? I'm not that interested in your curiosity. Tell the grandparents if it's a boy or a girl. Come on, man. Bounds of reason.
Yeah, I think they're definitely too extreme. And there's a nice compromise that it doesn't seem like they're willing to consider.
If I were the grandparents, I would say,
give me a break.
Okay, what's next?
All right, this next story is about food, which is why it's in my rundown. I love it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Look, the other stories were incredibly important. There was like 7 incredibly important, great stories in today's show. I'm actually very proud of today's show. But this is my favorite story in terms of like things that are going to actually affect my life.
All right. Bloomberg is reporting that fast food restaurants are now doing a counter to the supersize. They're doing mini size. Okay, so there are restaurants like, for instance, Starbucks, okay? They have little petite pastries. So if you don't want to have one of their regular size pastries, you just have a little nibble on their petite pastries. You are satisfied and you move on with your life.
Here's my response to this trend.
I jump in it.
No, I love this. First of all, this is not a Starbucks advertisement, but I love their petite pastries. I've already taken advantage.
I am looking forward to taking advantage later tonight. Okay, and this is a trend that I could not be happier about. Why? Okay, I like bad food. I like the sweets. I like the the stuff that's not good for me. But I actually don't need it in large quantities. In fact, people are often shocked at how little I eat during meals because they're like, I don't get it. You're really fat. How come you didn't eat that much? Okay, now I got some, issues, and then but also I eat really bad food, okay? But I'd love to eat it in smaller quantities. So this is a huge win for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's a huge win for me as well because, look, I go to McDonald's, for instance. We have a McDonald's very close to work. And I don't get normal size meals. I just get the kids meal. And the kids meal is more than enough. You have to train yourself to not gorge every single time you want to eat a meal, right? So I love the idea that restaurants are picking up on this and they're offering tiny little portions. Like for instance, there's Dairy Queen. And I love ice cream. I'm like ice cream fanatic. And they have these delicious shakes and things like that. But the sizes are too large. I don't need a massive shake. Oh, petite pastry. That's the whoopie pie. It's delicious.
That's a whoopie pie, right? All right. There is not 2 more pro-food people in the country than Anna and I. And look, those blizzards, I love the blizzards. Since I grew up in East Brunswick, I've been getting the blizzards off of Riders Lane, okay? But I don't need the larger ones at all. I've never ordered even a medium in anything. I always order the small, right? Again, believe it or not. Now the minis, I'm going to Dairy Queen.
Totally.
Because that's a doable size. I get da-da-da. And I wind up throwing away the rest of it usually anyway. It is unnatural how excited we are about this story.
How annoyed is JR, by the way? JR is anti-food. He's like the extreme opposite of Cenk and I. Of me and Cenk.
This sounds like what you guys make fun of me for all the time. Well, I mean, I get a whole thing, then I stop eating. That's all I ever say. Why you have to eat the entire bag of Doritos? Stop. But
I do that all the time.
Right?
No, I stop all the time. It hasn't helped, but
so
okay.
It's something else.
But it just makes it easier to stop.
Yeah.
So the one downside
and you're
of this
also
trend,
paying a little less, which is an important thing. Like
when you get the larger portions.
Right.
That's what I was going to say. The downside of this trend is that they're charging you a little more, not overall, but like proportionally, right?
Exactly.
I don't care, man. I don't care at all. It should cost $1.25, but it costs $1.50. I'd much rather save the 100 calories, 200 calories, and pay the extra quarter. I can live with that. Yeah. So, have at it, Hoss. As my friend Bora would say, like I've told you this story before, right? Like we'll go to a restaurant, and it's pain in the ass parking in LA or New York, right? And he wants the valet, and I'm thinking valet is like $3.50. By the time you put in the tip, that's $5. I could find a meter here that's past 8 o'clock, and I don't have to pay anything. So I'm driving around in circles. And so Bora's like, please, I'll pay double. I'll pay the valet and I'll pay you. Please, for the love of God, I'm hungry. Just park it. Okay. So that's how I feel about Dairy Queen. Okay, I'll pay double. Just make it a mini. Okay. All right. hey, we got an exciting story. We got excited and enthused about in terms of like good news. I told you we'd have good news in the show.
See?
See?
All right, one more story.
Okay.
So filmmaker Pedro Almodovar.
Almodovar. No, not bad, not
I
bad.
did an okay job there.
I think you added an S for no reason, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I did. He premiered his latest thriller at the Cannes Film Festival. And it turned out to be so violent and gory that people walked out, okay, shocked and disgusted.
Now, you hear this from time to time from Ken, and then, you know, then the movie sometimes schwang, wang, wang, etc. And sometimes it's hype, right? Mm-hmm. In this case, they were like, it was so shocking that not only did the Americans walk out, but some of the local French walked out.
Oh my God. No. But look, at first I was like, how bad could it possibly be, right? But the storyline is really scary.
Horrible.
It's horrible, okay? Although, even though it's horrible, I'm curious about the movie.
Well, look, they say it was incredibly well received by the critics, and it might even win at Cannes, right? And Antonio Banderas is playing the leading role, but tell him what it's about.
Okay, so Antonio Banderas' character has a daughter who gets raped, okay? Now, his daughter is in shambles because of the rape, so she ends up killing herself. Antonio Banderas wants revenge, so he finds the person who raped his daughter and performs a sex change operation on the guy, and then transplants his daughter's face on the rapist. And
This is the most disastrous storyline I've ever heard, but it gets worse.
And then he rapes the guy.
Who looks like his daughter.
And just had a sex change.
There's some chance I would have walked out. Okay, now look, I'm the most open-minded man in America. Everybody knows this. And I'm a super lib, and I got no problems with sex violence in the movies. Almodovar is a brilliant director. I've loved some of his movies. Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, sometimes, you know, they do movies that have some shock value. That's got shock value.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I was curious about the trailer, right? So I was like, did the trailer give any of this away? I mean, did people have any idea of what they were about to watch? So I want to show you the trailer. It's only a couple seconds long, so let's watch.
¡Párate ahí! Y tírame la llave de la puerta o sigo y te rajo. Si sigues bajando, me corto el cuello y se te acabó el juguete.
No eres capaz.
I would have no idea by watching that trailer. That trailer makes no sense. In fact, that trailer makes me not want to watch the movie.
Yeah, I know.
It looks too artsy. And
Because the critics loved it so much, I thought maybe I'll watch it, right? And Almodovar has had some brilliant movies, as I said. The music alone made me not want to watch it. Okay, I'm just keeping it real. But now you've been warned.
Yeah, it's. You think it has a revenge factor? Obviously, it's supposed to. I'm trying to find, even in a twisted mindset, where it adds up that this crazy guy, Antonio Banderas' character, right,
Right.
gets some kind of revenge.
But
I mean, why his daughter's face? What does
Yeah, that doesn't
do?
make any sense.
That doesn't make the guy look at the daughter who he raped.
Yeah, I know. All right, but look, hey, I'm not saying they shouldn't do the movie. I'm just saying I'm not sure I want to see it. So it is fascinating. And there's been a lot of drums at Cannes this year.
Yeah.
At Cannes, I should say.
yeah.
See, I added to ask that.
No. I had a
Okay.
long discussion about how to pronounce it with Andrew. That's why I'm laughing.
Okay.
He's like,
All
do
right.
not say cans.
I know, and I just said it. You know, that Almodovar's movie down in Cannes, you know, it's got a lot of issues. All right, anyways, we're out of time. What's happening is a really short post game that's fun for everybody. We're actually going to have fun there because I'm going to tell you two really strange stories that happened to me while I was jogging.
Yay.
Okay, and we will try to interpret what they meant because people said strange things to me. All right, for the members, we'll see you there. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow.